Hello and welcome. Well, today we have quite a special show for you. Very, very, very packed. And we have two sets of issues diametrically opposed but equally interesting. Now, we're going to start with Afoko's press statement this morning, which the NPP doesn't stop amazing us. Now, once upon a time, I said it is as if, with these two big political parties, it's as if the race is to be in opposition. You know, you have a government that can't keep the lights on, can't pay workers, and you have an opposition who are busily fighting at each other, and you're wondering, where is the bullseye? Is it to be in opposition, or is it to gradually get power? I don't know, but I say we have to congratulate whoever loses the coming election, because they have to do, extremely well to stay in opposition. But Afoko feels that he hasn't been dealt fairly. He feels that the party is against him and that his suspension is illegal. Now, who am I? So I have with me in studio lawyer Martin Pegbo, who's Mr. Afoko's lawyer. Martin, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Sakwa. This is PM Express. I'm just going to take a little clip of what Mr. Afoko said, and then we'll come back and speak to his lawyer to find out, indeed, what is the bigger picture? Are there any chances of winning? Is this just to drag the party into mud? What's happening? Stay tuned.
It started with intimidation, insults, and abuse on air, targeted at literally everybody. Physical attacks, and now intolerance of freedom of speech and dissent, and of late, killings. In the last months, some members of our party have taken steps that are in clear breach of the constitution of our party. As you can all recall, on October 23rd, 2015, an illegal National Executive Committee issued a statement purporting to have suspended the national chairman of the party. The processes adopted were illegal. Our party's constitution clearly provides the legal processes for the removal of constituency, regional, and national officers as follows. In the case of a complaint against a member of the National Executive Committee, the complaint is sent to the National Council. The National Council then refers the complaint to the National Disciplinary Committee. The National Disciplinary Committee then investigates and sends its recommendations back to the National Council. If the matter relates to the removal of an elected national officer, then Article 10, clauses 1 to 5 apply. The import of these clauses is as follows. If members wish to remove an elected officer, they must get at least 40% of the delegates. I repeat. If the matter relates to the removal of an elected national officer, then Article 10, clauses 1 to 5 apply. The import of these clauses is as follows. If members wish to remove an elected officer, they must get at least 40% of the delegates that elected that officer to petition to remove that officer. The affected officer will be given the opportunity to appear before a committee set by the National Council, a committee set by the National Council. The National Council may then suspend the officer before subsequently an extraordinary delegates conference is convened to deliberate and decide on the matter. I repeat for emphasis, the National Council may suspend the officer before subsequently an extraordinary delegates conference is convened to deliberate and decide on the matter. This is the only time an officer of the party can be suspended. This is the only time, as stated in our constitution. And even then, when suspension is invoked, it should not exceed 1 month. Therefore, an indefinite suspension of an elected officer is tantamount to a removal of that officer. I wish to state now that the decision to suspend me is unconstitutional.
Well, thank you very much, and you heard him loud and clear. Mr. Paul Afoko, allegedly suspended, but after he's explained everything, and I wonder if he's suspended or not. Doctor, let me start by asking a vain question. You think your client has a case? Has he got a case?
Oh, very much so. He has a solid case. As for that one, I have no doubts about it. If we are talking about law per se, the law alone, he has a case very solid, watertight, okay, or cast in stone, as we say. This is how it goes. Basically, the foundation upon which this purported suspension is built is no foundation at all. This is how it starts in a minute. There was a petition against him. That petition was wrongly addressed to the National Disciplinary Committee, which committee invited Mr. Afoko. And as soon as we went there, because the procedure was wrong, the first thing we did was to put a preliminary legal objection on the table. We wrote volumes. The last time I was here, I brought hard copies. So we put that objection on the table. In law, if you go before any adjudicating body or a court, and you raise that objection, the law is very clear. If there's anything that lawyers agree on, then it is this, that if you raise that objection, there must be an answer to that objection before any further proceedings are taken. So as far as we are concerned, to the extent that the committee failed to answer that objection, there was no way that legally they could have come to a conclusion that they have finished their work, and so they recommend any suspension. It's legally untenable. This is one settled principle. That objection was never answered. We raised it each time. We appeared before them on 3 occasions. And each time we reminded them that we brought you written objections, not just apart from writing it, on the first day, they took down the summary of the objection as well. And we have evidence to prove that each time we went there, we reminded them. So as far as we are aware, they couldn't have completed. So that completion of the work is illegal. It's a nullity ab initio. So you see why I said that the basis itself doesn't exist. Okay, that's the first one. Now, number 2, in law, to the extent that in Article 9 of the Constitution, it is the prerogative, that is the duty of the chairman to convene meetings such as the National Executive Committee meeting, National Council, Steering Committee, and the rest. Even when they purportedly finished their work as a disciplinary committee, when they wanted to have a National Executive Committee meeting convened, it is the duty of the national chairman to convene that meeting. My brother, you know what they did? They didn't send it to Mr. Afoko to call that meeting. Rather, they went to another person. So that is the second illegality. The law is clear. There is what we call the doctrine of necessity.
Your client is, the party said that your client was not calling for these meetings. For a long time, he wasn't calling for the meeting, even though he was alerted to.
With due respect, as far as I am concerned, that is a propaganda. It's not true. The records rather show that he has called more meetings than some previous chairman. The record shows that he has called more meetings. Okay, so I feel that statement is a propaganda. Okay. So this particular meeting that was held on the 23rd of October, that purportedly suspended him. Mr. Afoko was never given the opportunity to call that meeting. And as I stated earlier on, because of the doctrine of necessity, simply put, in this context, if you open the Constitution, it is his duty to call such a meeting. It doesn't matter that the meeting was even going to discuss his suspension or otherwise. In law, he had the mandate to call the meeting, so that usually in practice, this is how it works out. He would have called the meeting, and then as soon as the meeting was quorate and all the preliminary matters were dealt with, then he would recuse himself. Even in MPP itself, their convention, their history will show that some years ago, when there was a similar matter involving Mr. Harry Nweseku, the meeting that was called to deal with his matter, he was the one who called it. So what has changed? Their own history, their own convention has a precedent which is binding on them. So, to the extent that the meeting was not called by Mr. Afoko, Chairman Afoko, it means that that meeting in itself was illegal. So, any decision taken thereto is also illegal.
Even though they had a quorum?
Yes, because once the person who called the meeting did not have the authority to call the meeting, in law, it is an illegality ab initio. It doesn't, in the eyes of the law, that was not a meeting at all. Then, there were issues of bias. You see, when we appeared, that's point number 3, when we appeared before the committee, we discovered that, look, before going there, the petition, the first petition, which was by the National Council of Elders, which petitioned the disciplinary committee against Mr. Afoko, we discovered that Professor Okwe and Madam Amabuzia were members of the petitioners. So it means that they met together with the Council of Elders and decided that we will petition, against Mr. Afoko. And these two members quickly after that also jumped down and came to sit in the disciplinary committee because they are also members of that committee. So they were judges in their own cause. They wrote their petition and then came to sit on it to judge. Yes, and let me tell you, it's a fact that at no point in time did they ever tell us that they were withdrawing that petition. So as far as we are concerned, the first petition was National Council of Elders versus Paul Afoko. Then, whilst we were there at the second sitting, then 2 fresh cases were brought up. That's Alhaji Jeremiah and then Alhaji Aminu. But my brother, as I'm saying, as far as we are concerned, these 3 cases were dealt with. At no point in time did they withdraw the National Council of Elders case. But now after the decision came out, to rationalize it, we've heard things like, they didn't dwell their decision, or the decision was not based on the National Council of Elders case. Please, that's not how it is dealt with. In law, the disciplinary committee, being an administrative body, had a duty to be fair. Natural justice requires that everything be done. There should be transparency. Article 23 of the Constitution applies that there should be transparency. There should be fairness. And all these principles work to make sure that the decision they gave is a nullity.
Hold on there for 1 second. Let me go on the phones and acknowledge Alhaji Sule Yeremia. Alhaji, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Well, Alhaji, big issues and a big party. The MPP's fortunes are dwindling, says Mr. Afoko. And how do you respond to that?
Oh, what do you mean by saying the fortunes of the NPP are dwindling? Did you go to the polls to determine this? Or who is a soothsayer to say that he's predicted that the fortunes are dwindling?
Well, he's probably the chairman, and maybe judging from the brouhaha in the party, maybe that's how he concludes it.
It's unfortunate that the former chairman is resorting to send his case to the public opinion. But I think if he has any case at all, there are constitutional procedures where he can seek redress. But to go on the public media to present his case is rather unfortunate.
Alhaji, but he's saying that the party is not being fair to him. I mean, it's like all rules are being bent, against him, and it's probably his back is to the wall now.
It's unfair. If he says that the rules are being bent, which of the forums did he attend to seek redress?
Well, hold
of the forums.
I have his lawyer here.
Oh, it's unfortunate. I heard the lawyer speaking to the issue, but unfortunately, I don't know whether the lawyer understands that the media is not where he should seek redress. If he has any case at all, the processes are there. He should apply. And if he applies, then maybe they will consider, or they will not consider.
Alhaji, but
in the absence of processes in the party, he can go to the law courts.
Alhaji, but how can he apply to the party when the party has suspended him? If the constitution says that there shouldn't be a suspension more than a month, and now he's going for indefinite. So what does he do?
I don't want to talk about the constitution.
Okay.
But I believe that if now he's talking about, is he talking about the legality of the suspension, or he's talking about the period of the suspension?
Well, I think
Which
both.
of them is he seeking redress? The period he has been suspended, or the process that was used to suspend him? Does he believe that the constitution, the party's constitution, has the right even to suspend him for 1 day? Does he recognize that fact? If he recognizes that fact, did he follow the procedure by which he should seek redress to that effect? If he did not, then what is he talking about? We are a law-abiding party. The party has rules and regulations. If he has found that he's not been treated fairly in the first instance, in the second instance, the law courts are there. He should go to the law courts and stop going to the media to talk to the people of this country. After all, I heard him say that there were 5,000 people who voted him. But don't forget that there were 5 million people who voted Nahado in 2012. If he's talking about the composition of the of NEC, then he should know that there are rules. Even if NEC voted 2 against 1, the 2 votes count. That the ruling of the 2 count. But if he refuses to avail himself to these processes, then it means he doesn't have faith in the constitution of the party. What is he talking about saying 30, the party cannot suspend him more than 1 month? Does he believe that the party can suspend him? Well, let's talk about that first. If he believes that the party can suspend him, then he should go to the party and talk about it. But if he goes to the media and starts talking to the media that they have only 30 days and not more than 30 days, then it means that the party acted ultra-virus.
Alhaji, thank you very much for that comment. Thank you very much for that comment. It is clear that Alhaji is not in a full agreement from your position. Yeah. Now, he's saying that if he believes that he can be suspended, then he can be suspended. I'm not quite sure how it works with the timing.
Yes, you see, the suspension, okay, from what Mr. Afoko read, okay, you could see he read from the Constitution, Article 10. That suspension would have been before the case goes to the delegates. You see, for a national officer, this indefinite suspension is tantamount to a removal. So, for a national officer, what they were required to do was that they would have had at least 40% of the delegates that voted, okay, that's the 40% of the delegates. Once you have that critical mass, that number, then you can petition for his removal, because to say he's indefinitely suspended, with due respect, we submit that it's tantamount to removal, because it's indefinite. It's indefinite, so it's tantamount to removal, though they've just fallen short of using the word removal. So that's why Mr. Afoko is saying that this suspension in this context is illegal.
Let me go to the phones and speak to Dr. Barima Osei Asare, Head of Political Science University of Ghana. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you, and good evening to your panelists and all the viewers.
Good evening, right back at you. But Doctor, this is just one big brouhaha. According to the constitution that Mr. Afoko read, the party's own constitution says that, number one, you can suspend someone indefinitely. But here he is suspended indefinitely, and he can't find anywhere within his own party laws that allows that. I mean, what do you make of all this?
So I think that this is really a test case for the laws of this country, and in this instance, I'm looking at the judiciary, because I know our judges are highly learned, and this is a case that will be brought before them. So your job as a judge is to look at the issues very well. In this instance, this is an individual who thinks that justice has not been done as far as his political party is concerned. So as a judge, let's say High Court judge or Appeals Court judge, such an issue will come before you, that you are thinking about, should I come up with a ruling that will really be a big blow to the MPP, or should I come up with a ruling that will really advance the cause of the leadership of the MPP? So, but my thinking is that, looking at how the issue is, it will be very, very difficult for a judge to say that Mr. Afoko should be reinstated. I expect a judge to say that although the party leadership didn't follow certain rules and regulations, it still can be suspended. But in terms of the indefinite, that's where the issue is. But my thinking is that the leadership of the MPP should find a way to settle this out of court. Because this is a party that has been in opposition getting to a decade, and you want a situation whereby you can marshal all your forces, all your significant elements to be able to win the election. Anytime at this critical time, a leading member like Mr. Afoko's daughter is taking the party to court, this is going to be an unnecessary distraction. So I think the party leadership, people like Mr. Kufuor and Nana Akufo-Addo, should be able to work in tandem and get this thing settled out of court.
Dr. Asare, quickly before I let you go, and I'll put two questions in one. Number one, assuming even the judges say, look, go back, go and be your own chairman, how does he rule? Because, if you call the meeting, you can't put a gun to your member's head to come. And Mr. Afoko is also saying, look, the party's fortunes are dwindling. Do you think the party is losing? If you were a floating voter, this is not an attractive party for you now. And if his chairmanship is reinstated, how does he call a meeting and how does he run the party?
No, I think that the party leadership knows that Ghana is a country we run our country based on laws. This is a constitutionalism. Everything is done based on the constitution. So if a judge should come up with an unexpected ruling that Mr. Afoko should be reinstated, I think the party will be able to come together and understand that in the interest of party unity, in the interest of prosecuting an effective campaign in 2015, let's find a way to work together. I think these are highly matured individuals who understand that the stakes are very high. So if a judge should come up with a ruling, I think they should be able to find a way to work in tandem, to work together. After all, they've done it in the past. Almost all parties have internal wrangling, divisions here and there. So once you are lucky or fortunate for a judge to say, the chairman you have suspended should be reinstated, I think the leadership, the flag bearer, the vice presidential candidate, etc., should be able to find a way to work together in the interest of the party.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asare. Let me come to studio and speak to my good friend, lawyer Martin Pebu. I feel sorry for your client in terms that, at the same question, if you win the case for him, so go back and be chairman. How does he become chairman?
Oh, it will work perfectly. As the good doctor has said, these are matured individuals. So once there's an order from the court, by the laws of Ghana, we have to obey the order, okay, or the judgment. So I think it will work. Let's not forget, I keep saying we've had 2 world wars and a lot, more serious and, quite far more complex issues. Yet this world has found a way of, coping with those ones. So to that extent, I'm very confident that once there's an order coming from the court, the party would do the needful.
Again, not a fair question, but wouldn't you advise your client that, listen, forget about these people, mind your own business, carry on, do your business and go. there's no point. If they say they don't like you, to hell with them.
Oh, not in this case. My brother, I'll tell you for a fact that looking at the egregious breaches of the law, I've never in my practice, seen such a case that you have so many breaches of the law just didn't work. There was no due process at all. He suffered too much. I think that he must clear his name so that posterity would, put him at the right place. Otherwise, he'll be consigned to ignominy. He would be put at the wrong side of history. So he must clear his name.
The other thing, too, is that I think Mr. Afoko once upon a time said, look, this case is in court, and therefore nobody should speak about it. And so the party now finds it strange that the same person now is speaking about the same case which he intends to take to court.
Oh, okay. You know, this is, it's not a hard and fast rule, okay? He himself, his case is distinct from the one that is in court. So if he made reference to the one in court that people shouldn't talk about it, yes, that's one matter. Now, this one is his own case. You know, times changes. It's not fixed. So for me, to the extent that he has not yet filed his case in court, in law, he's at liberty to, comment on it. He hasn't filed. As we sit here, Mr. Afoko has not filed any case in court. So he's not breaching any rules by going out to the media. It helps because if the public is well informed about the case, it helps to, make progress as well.
Lawyer Martin Kwebu, we thank you very much for making yourself available for us. It's only for God and country. Thank you so much. And we're going to take a break here. And when we come back, we're going to part 2. And as I said, it's diametrically opposed to what we talked about today, but equally exciting. Don't move. We're coming straight back. Well, thank you very much for staying, and we're doing part 2. Folks, as part of the Habitat Fair, there are 2 big dynamos who are taking part of this Habitat Fair, but not just taking part, but the things or the products that they are offering is what you and I need. Right next to me is Catherine Boatin, who's the assistant sales manager of Interplast, and she is in the in-green department. And I'm sure you're wondering what the in-green department does. Well, we'll tell you all about it. Next to Catherine is John Ejako, who's the acting head of mortgage department of the HFC Bank, and here to offer a product which, again, you and I need. I'll start with the in-green department. Catherine.
Yes.
Ladies first.
Yes.
What is the in-green department? I'm curious.
Okay, thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome.
In-green is basically the irrigation department of Interplast. Irrigation, yes. As in
watering
of lawns, gardens, farms, hotels, wherever there is a green area to be watered, we are there.
And how long has that been? I mean, we've all known, Interplast, bringing water from space and bringing water from the sea. So this is quite new.
Yes, since Atongo started laying the pipes to the moon and going to Brazil and all, we decided to let him add watering of lawns to it.
Okay.
Yes, so instead of having the gardener use the water hose, we said, okay, why don't we just install our system? Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about anything else. You install it underground, you set the time, and it does the watering for you. All the gardener needs to do is to mow the lawn.
Is it not too good to be true?
No, it's not. It's a simple, it sounds complicated, but it's not.
No, because I know if you have a sprinkler thing, you go and open the tap and then it sprinkles for that, and then you go and close the tap.
No.
It caps on its own and goes off on its own?
You see, the downside to that is you don't know how much water you are spending. But with our system, you know exactly how much water you are using for your lawn. As in, you can calculate for you. So in a week, I spend this amount of water. So at the end of the month, if the water bill comes, you can say, okay, this is how much I spent for water. This is how much I didn't. But then, as you are saying, you open the tap, you close it. Do you know how much you're consuming? You wouldn't know.
Wow. Well, I will come back to that. But let me go to HFC and talk about home purchase. And we're also looking at home equity. One thing which Ghanaians really don't believe, you see somebody who says, I'm really, really poor, but as, fully owns their house and still crying for poverty. But let's start with home purchase. John, what's the home purchase plan?
Well, Nana, thanks for having me here as well. We realize the need of most Ghanaians, and that is basically to own your own structure or house. A lot of Ghanaians are renting, and we only have a few being capable of buying their own dream homes. So HFC has this product, and it's been running for a long time. We've had a couple of Ghanaians patronizing. Now, if you have seen any property of your choice and you are really, really interested in acquiring it and you don't have all the money, it's very simple. We have about 43 branches. Just walk into any HFC branch, apply for a mortgage loan. You'll be given a loan to buy the house.
What are the your wage ratio? How many times should you earn, and that sort of thing?
Well, the beauty is that every income qualifies you for a particular loan amount. So over there, probably you saw something worth billions, and that is what you really want. But at the branch, you'll be told, well, based on this income of yours, this is what you can buy. And then you are cancelled, and you go look out for that kind of property and buy. And it's a property ladder market, and so the idea is that probably you don't want to stay in that house for life. Maybe after 4 or 5 years, when you are well-to-do, you can dispose it off, take a top-up, buy a property that you really want to buy. So that is how it works. The home purchase product is such that we give you maximum-wise 20 years to pay off this loan. I mean, you can pay it off much earlier if you can afford.
Without penalty? Imagine 10 years' time, I won the lottery, you're not going to charge me to settle?
Without penalty.
I know houses really appreciate, in this country a lot. So the idea that you own the house about 3-4 years, scoop the equity out, and then look at something bigger. What's the deposit you need to move into your house? What do I do? 10, 20%, 15%?
Well, the good thing with HFC, Nana, is that we have different products for different ranges. There are some products you would have to put down some deposits, like you're saying. There are some products you don't have to pay anything at all.
100% mortgage?
100% mortgage.
But I must be like Bill Gates, living in Flagstaff house, probably, sister to the first lady or something before I get that.
Not at all. Even public servants, Nana, are getting 100% mortgages. Public servants.
This is TVO. My viewers will be rushing.
Certainly.
Because, that's one stumbling block, is coming up with a deposit. Some can do the monthly payment but don't have the down payment. And you can do 100%.
Sure. Somewhere last 2 years, I believe, SNET sold some structures at Adenta, some new ones they had come up with. And they sold out so quick. I mean, there were some 100% mortgages granted. And so, yes, HFC does 100% mortgages.
Well, once you've purchased your house, those who love their gardens, I don't want to mention names here, but I know people who love who love their gardens. You definitely want to keep it green, and so then you need it watered. Sometimes I find it sad that Dubai seems to be greener than Accra, and it's an indictment on all of us. Now, your sprinkler system, I find it amazing. What if I have a football pitch? Okay. I mean, would that be too big, or you can manage that?
No, we can do that. Our sprinklers are such that we have for tight corners and large areas. It starts from 2 feet all the way to 20 meters. So no matter the size of your lawn, we can irrigate it.
Now, you see, I have one sprinkler. It's not as fancy as yours, but like when I turn it on, it waters the grass, part of the car, and then part of the patio. Okay. So if you turn it on an automatic and it's going to cut off in 3 or 4 minutes time, by the time I come, the house will be drenched.
No, it wouldn't. What we do is, before we start the installation, we do a design of your property. a designer scene to show us where to put the sprinklers, where to put the pipes, where to put the cables and everything. And our sprinklers, they rotate from 0 to 360 degrees. So
Okay.
if I put it in a corner and then I look at the situation there, you have a window, you have probably a wall. I'm going to turn it to 90 degrees. And then I'll put one in the middle that can do a 180 by the side of the 90. And then there's a middle which will do a 360. So we have overlapping water. So you don't have to worry about getting water on your window or anything like that. That's where the design process comes in. That's why you need a professional to do it for you.
And then this idea that it pops up to spray and then pops down when it's finished spraying?
Yes. They are pop-ups, as in, people are worried that, okay, I'm going to install sprinklers in my lawn. Then I have my gardener with the mower in the lawn. Are they not going to cut the heads off? No, they are not. Again, that's where the professional comes in. They should be laid in such a way that they are underground. They are not supposed to show. So when you start the system, the pressure of the water is supposed to push it up. So you push it up, then the waters, after doing its job, it goes back down. So if anybody works in the lawn, they are not going to see that you even have sprinklers.
Places like hotels and stuff, like schools, I don't know where schools will do their garden, but maybe they should start doing their garden. But mainly hotels, but they have much bigger lawns. You have sprinklers to cover all that?
Yes, we do. We just got this hotel in town. It's a big lawn.
Give them marketing, man. Which hotel is that? So at least we can go there and see
we
for
got
ourselves.
we got the Kempinski. We did the Kempinski.
Ah.
The Kempinski Hotel, yes, in
Okay.
Accra here. So we took care of their lawns for them. And then there's another hotel we are doing in town. Also, they have a big lawn. Again, in places like that, you need it to be lush all the time. Because some clients just go there just to relax. And
Is
then
it catching on though?
we just started. We started 2 years ago, so we are now trying to introduce it to the people. It's catching on. Those who know the system, they appreciate it. And then if somebody invests in their landscape, as you were saying earlier on, some people really appreciate lovely greens. They just want to sit outside, see all the green, and they're like, life is good, you know.
Life is indeed good. Let me go to the mortgages. And John, you see, normally when you want a mortgage, you need to be buying in Cantonment, Airport Hills, East Legon. But what if, I want to Kaswa, a bit of Bojuasi, maybe Kitasi, a bit of outside the city. What then happens?
Yes, and just to, before I answer, for viewers watching, if you already own a house and you're interested in having access to this loan, we have the equity product meant for this, and then you can contact the bank, we'll give you a loan, you pay for this service, and the loan will be done, and you have a nice, beautiful house with nice greenery.
Which adds to the value anyway, isn't
It
it?
adds to the value, exactly.
Seriously adds to the value.
Now to answer your question, yes, HFC finances every property, so long as it's within some district capital or capital around that vicinity, we are able to finance.
10 kilometers? 5 kilometers?
Usually we are looking at about 40-kilometer radius.
Ah.
Exactly. We really try to ensure that what you are buying is something that is economical, that is good in terms of documentation, and it's something you can stay in for a long time and probably trade off and walk away with some extra money as well. And so, yes, we seek out your interests, and so we don't discriminate. We have a lot of people buying from Kaswa.
Joint mortgage, maybe the missus
Joint
and I?
mortgages, sibling mortgages, father, son, mother, daughter, mother, son.
You could join. So
Sure.
if my wages wasn't enough,
Exactly.
I attach the missus and then...
Exactly. You can combine your incomes and we can give you a bigger loan amount to buy your dream property.
That sounds interesting. What if I don't want to live in the property? I mean, I want to buy and use it for a hotel, or I want to buy and let it out. Like, I just want to buy a place and rent it.
Sure. I mean, what you decide to do with your property is your decision.
It doesn't affect my mortgage.
So long as you're not transferring your interest in the property to a third party, because once you mortgage a structure, your interest in the structure is more or less assigned to the bank till you pay off your loan. And so that's the only restriction. You can't do this kind of transfer to a third party. But then you can decide to rent the property, make more income. You can decide to turn the property into a commercial structure.
You won't change my interest if I'm renting the house?
Not at all.
Well, that sounds good. Can I not declare my wages but tell you that, look, this is how much I'm earning? I don't want to declare my wages.
Unfortunately, per regulations and regulator supervision, we will need to verify your wage. And so when you declare your wage, there are some documentations and verifications that are done to ascertain the veracity of your claim. If we are able to establish that, in fact, you do make that kind of income and even make extra, yes, we factor all that in and decide a particular loan amount for you.
See, John, maybe, multimedia may be paying me on a monthly basis. And then I go about, I do a bit of MC job or, guest speaker here, guest speaker there. So, I have all that, but it's not actually, regular, but, it comes in. Would you add that too?
Certainly, there are extra incomes you make. And so long as you are being paid, say, in check, and you bank or cash them, and there are evidences and trails to show, they are factored in as your income. If you receive cash and you can't probably go to the one who gave you cash for a paper, a signed attestation or something, just to evidence that you did make this income, then unfortunately we can't assist you with your claim. But if there is some sort of trace...
What if I paid it into my account?
Certainly there's a record there to show for it, and it can be used. It can be added to your main income, and then you can be given a bigger loan amount.
I'm going to take a break here. It's getting excited, and if you don't get on the property ladder now, as I keep telling people, in the next 10 years, you and I will be living in a hut. We may never, ever be able to buy a house. So if you're thinking about it, stop thinking, go and see John, and apply for mortgage now. We're going for a break, and we're coming back. Well, thank you very much for staying. The phone number will be on the screen, so just in case you're looking at some psychedelic, it's not, even though it sounds expensive, apparently it's not that expensive, but very important for all you who want to keep your lawns green and your garden to add more equity to your house, by all means. Or if you have any questions with regards to mortgage, we'll take a couple of calls. I'll take a couple of calls on that. But John, is there anything I haven't, talked about that you feel that listeners should know about?
Nana, the Kumasi Fair this time around, I believe, is strategic. We just had government assigning some structures to State Housing and Senate to complete some affordable projects. And so I would encourage our folks in Kumasi to patronize this fair, start inquiring about these developments that are happening around Kumasi, and then just contact HFC Bank for a loan to own one of these houses, these flats.
Let me just put the number out there. It's 0302 211 70124. So 0302 211 701 702 703 704. Let me let you land on that.
And secondly, Nana, we are aware Otumfuo has set up a project to perfect the titles of Kumasi Ashanti region property owners. And once they now have titles, obviously it means they are sitting on equity. The houses they own is money. I mean, they can just walk to HFC and take equity loans and use these monies to acquire new structures.
Let me take Richmond. Hello, Richmond.
Hello, Nana.
Yes.
Nana, I'm Richmond from Sinani.
Hello, Richmond.
My problem is that I'm a teacher, controller, staff worker. My wife does same. I want to ask the gentleman that is it possible for two of us to combine and have a property around Sunyani? Is it possible?
Quick question. Is it possible?
Yes, Richmond, it's very possible.
Richmond, start talking to the missus. It's possible.
And I would rather wish you take a mortgage separately and your wife also takes one separately and you rent the other one.
There you go. That's a business strategy for you. Let me come to you, Catherine. If somebody out there is looking and thinking, I want you to come and assess me and what number do they call and how do they get you?
Okay, so they can either come to Interplus. We're on the Spintex Road.
Okay.
Yes, or they call 0302 819 000.
Okay.
0302 819 000 and ask for the irrigation department or ask to speak to Kathy.
And then
they'll be directed.
You go there with your tape measure thing. And
I go to the field with my tape measure. I do the measurements myself. If you have the floor plans too, awesome. So when you email it to me, I'll do a design and then I'll send it back to you. And then once you give us approval, we start the installation.
You're making it sound easier.
It's very easy.
Let me speak to Aruna. Hello, Aruna.
Hello, Nana.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, I have a problem with regards to this HFC. One time I tried getting a mortgage from them, but I'm all the way in Bolga.
Yeah.
So they tell them that I should look for a house. I should look for a house that has a lease and what. And look, it's not easy down here to get a house that has a lease. So
has a what?
A lease.
A lease. Okay.
So you see, sometimes it's very difficult. Up north here, people will build houses without you getting access to lease.
Thank you very much.
There should be a situation whereby at least they can give you the fiscal
Haruna,
such a way that you can also build your house.
Because of time, thank you.
I
got to your question. Thank you very much. Can you help Aruna? It's a lifetime lease.
Yes, Aruna. The bank seeks your interest all the time, and so if you are purchasing a property from somebody, we need legally an agreement done between you, the purchaser, and the seller, and that's what is called lease.
Let me speak to Osman. Hello, Osman.
Hello, good evening, Nana.
Good evening, my brother.
Great. Just a quick question. HFC, do they own houses or one has to look for his own house for them to mortgage for you?
Let me get the question again.
Do they build the houses?
Oh, okay.
And sell, or one has to go around looking for his own house?
Okay, so HFC thinks of every possibility. So at the bank section, if you come and tell us you have a house, we should help you buy, yes, we can assist you. We have a sister company, HFC Realty, and HFC Realty builds houses. And so if you want to buy one of HFC Realty's houses, yes, it's a sister company, and so we can assist you by as well.
Leonard, what's your concern?
By as well. What's your concern?
My concern is you need to lower your TV. You lowered it?
Hello?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
okay.
Yes, let me hear you now.
Yeah. Here is somebody who has started a structure and he has roofed it and he's left with the finishing. And I would like to know if HFC can be of that assistance, because the person has almost completed. He has roofed it, he has done all the necessary things like connecting electricity and all that. It's left with the finishing. Is there anything that the agency bank would like to do to help get the house completed according to the taste that the person wants?
Okay, let me take Enoch as my last caller, then you combine these questions. Hello, Enoch.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. I want to find out from the gentleman. I have my house and it has been leased. There are 2 plots. The other one is vacant. I want to find out how best I can mortgage for them to put up something for the other house. I'm a controller worker.
Release equity to build another house. So 2 questions for you quickly, John.
Sure. Leonard, the roofed house, so long as you've done about 50% of your project, HFC can assist you to complete the house you are building. The catch is that you must have all your documentations right. Your permits must be there, your title must be registered. You must have everything legally required to build in place, and then we can assist you to complete. Even at 50% completion stage, we can step in to help you. And Enoch, yes, if you already have 2 plots and you've built on one and you want some money to build on the other plot, yes, you can release equity on the first property and then you use that money to develop your own structure. The bank does not build. We are deposit and financing bank, and so you will do your own building.
For those who want to ring for inquiry.
Yes. So if you call this line, we should be able to assist. It's 0302 242090. 0302 242090.
And I want your number again, because you know what, the gardeners won't call the show live. They will call you privately.
Okay.
Yeah, so again, put the number out.
It's 0302 819 000.
Well, as I told you, it's going to be exciting. Now, those of you who follow my program on Joy FM, that's my opinion. I'm saying that, you know, some get it, they don't have it. But as far as we have it, but it's become a curse. Some are looking for it. They are craving for it. They don't get it. We have it in abundance, but it's become a curse. And you want to find out what it is? You tune in between 2 and 3 on Joy 99.7 FM and listen to my piece, and you will love it. But I want to say thank you very much, gentlemen and lady. And I know it has been fruitful and enjoyable. Tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you for watching.